why self-awareness is ruining your life. There's a lot of different angles that this video can take. It can talk about how being aware of your body can make you sad. You know, you can compare yourself to other people, things of that nature. Or it can say your self-awareness is ruining your life because you just don't believe you can do stuff. You know what I'm saying? I don't know about y'all, but delusion is a hell of a power. Let's figure out what this video is about. I know it's going to be a really good video, so let's lock in.
I think human consciousness was a tragic misstep in evolution. We became too self-aware. Nature created an aspect of nature separate from itself. We are creatures that should not exist by natural law.
That sounds god-fucking awful. Right?
Have you ever asked yourself, what truly separates humans from the rest of the creatures on this earth? The core difference isn't intelligence or emotion. If you think about it, it's metacognition, the ability to think about thinking. Animals can feel fear, hunger, affection. They even problem solve, but they don't reflect on those feelings. A deer feels fear and runs. When a human does it, he later thinks, why did I get scared? What does that say about me? That second layer, the reflection on the self, is the defining.
That makes you think to yourself, damn, I ran like a bitch. Now next time, I need to bring the blicky with me. You know what I mean? Okay, we onto something. We cooking here. We cooking with some gas. Okay.
Feature of human consciousness. It's what lets us create art, philosophy, and science. But it's also what allows us to feel shame, regret, and existential dread. We became smart enough to understand ourselves, and for some people, they're miserable because of it. You see this a lot with people in therapy.
What is fucking self-knowledge? What the fuck has it gotten me?
They're really self-aware, but that's kind of part of the issue, right? And it turns out, science actually backs that up. There's a part of your brain called the default mode network, and it's basically your brain's idle mode. Sounds like NPC behavior, but it's the part of your brain that becomes active when the mind is at rest and not focused on the outside world. It is crucial for internally focused thoughts like daydreaming, self-reflection, recalling personal memories, and thinking about the future. Now, this part of the brain is what gives humans self-awareness, the ability to reflect on ourselves. Like, imagine a bird. A bird spends most of its day looking for food. It checks 10 spots and finds nothing. It doesn't go, oh, I'm so bad at this. I'm such an idiot. It just keeps looking. But us, if I ask 10 people out and they all say no, I don't just move on. My brain will start going, oh, maybe I'm ugly. Maybe I'm unlovable. Maybe I need more money. Now, self-awareness, as amazing as it is, it has some flaws. The same system that helps us learn from mistakes can also turn on us. Because once you think about yourself, you can also judge yourself. And if that self-judgment loop gets too active, you're fucked. This is where depression and anxiety come in, because people with depression tend to have an overreactive default mode network. In other words, their brain is stuck in self-awareness mode all the time. And do you want to know what's crazy? Is that the person who thinks they're God's gift to humanity and the person who thinks they're a complete failure have the exact same problem. They're both trapped by their ego. There's a lot of narcissism and self-hate. Try to convince a narcissist that they're not the best thing ever. It's impossible, right? Now, you try to convince someone with low self-esteem that they're not a loser, it's also impossible, because
He's cooking. If you were able to turn that same emotion, that same thing upside down, you would love yourself. I like that.
both are ego, both are the same mechanism, just pointed in different directions. The person with low self-esteem is constantly thinking about I'm worthless, I'm pathetic, my family would be better off without me. Still about me. In depression, the self-focus becomes constant. The mind keeps zooming in on you, on your flaws and your failures and your regrets. But the fascinating part is looking at how depression is actually treated. Things like ketamine, psilocybin, even MDMA-assisted therapy, they all seem to be doing the same thing. They quiet down the default mode network. I'm not saying to go out and take drugs, but when you understand how the brain works, you'll realize the importance of getting out of your head. The theory is that
it's kind of crazy to think, but you need to become more self-aware to get out of that problem. Because you need to be aware of the problem to get out of the problem. But you being aware of the problem is what puts you into the problem. So now you need to see the problem, be aware of the problem, and then be aware that you're aware of the problem. I cooked.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Bro, I cooked, bro. I cooked, bro. Chill. Because you need to understand that this is something that I always thought to myself. At the end of the day, your brain is just a bunch of chemicals doing a whole bunch of fucking whatever the fuck. Right? And as soon as you break it down to that point where it's like, My mind is just a bunch of fucking chemicals. At that point, it kind of like lowers the stakes. Like all this shit don't really fucking matter for real. So at the end of the day, you need to just be able to control your own mind. You know what I mean? Which is much easier said than done. But you can do that by meditating. All that sadness, those emotions that you feel, you know, you have to sit in it. And I've done that plenty of times in my life, you know, where you just having bad, like everything just going bad, man. You know what I'm saying? It could be a bad month, a bad year. That shit, it could be bad years. You know what I'm saying? But nothing feels right. The best thing you can do is to sit in it and accept it. You know what I'm saying? Like, me personally, this was like years ago. Like, it was always difficult for me to sleep at night. And it's because whenever I would lay down to go to sleep and close my eyes, it's like my mind will be all over the place and I'll get stressed out. And then now my heart's pumping really fast. And then now it's like the beating of my heart is stressing me out even more. And I feel it like over my whole body at this point now. It's like I can feel the fucking blood pumping into my fingertips. I'm like, I'm fucking tweaking. And then one day I sat there and I said, I don't give a fuck. And then I thought of the same thing that would stress me out, and I thought of it in a way to make it therapeutic, right? So I took the same beating that I felt in my hands, felt in my fucking everywhere in my body, and I made it therapeutic, and I used it to actually calm me. Rather than thinking it shouldn't be there, I accepted that it was there, and I sat in it. And I sat in it until the point where I started to like it. You know, it's just like food. You may try a food, you hate the fucking food, you're like, ew, this is disgusting. You know, you might try it again, keep eating it, keep trying it. Next thing you know, you fucking love that shit. But yeah, I don't know how I got here. But if you guys are dealing with anything similar to that, sit in it, bro. And not to say sit in it and be fucking sad and depressed and all that shit, but you have to go through it to get through it. A lot of the time, you're fighting things, and because you're fighting things, you're making it so much harder to actually get through it. You know what I'm saying? Use whatever you're deeming to be a nuisance or a problem, use it as a power instead. You know what I'm saying? You overthink everything. Start thinking about things you want to think about. You know what I'm saying? Start thinking about fucking, oh, how to fix a car, or how to do this, or how to do this. You know what I mean? Like, situations like that. Everything you have in your life, even if it looks bad, you can use it as a superpower at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? So try to do that.
Dopamine temporarily shuts off the default mode network to the endless self-looping system. And in that short window, your brain gets a break from being stuck in you. You experience a kind of dissociation, a feeling of being outside of yourself and realizing that you don't actually matter that much. There's more to life than just you. And that can actually reset the way your brain processes your sense of self in a good way. Here's how your brain is really sneaky though. Something happens. Maybe someone ignores your texts, criticizes you, or rejects you. And suddenly you feel way more hurt than the situation deserves. That's step one, the trigger. Step two, your ego will step in to protect you, but it will actually just hijack your logic. Your ego walks up to your brain and says, hey, this is awful. You clearly don't know what you're doing, and I need you to come up with some bulletproof logic explaining why this isn't our fault or why they're the problem. And your brain, loyal as ever, goes, yes, sir, on it, boss. And that's how the cycle starts. And the smarter you are, the more creative your brain becomes at defending your ego's story. It builds these airtight, emotionally charged arguments that feel perfectly logical. And that's why intelligent people will often struggle more with depression, since they can rationalize their pain, not always in a healthy way. They can explain in flawless logic why they're doomed and why they'll fail and why they're unlovable. But what's happening isn't the truth. It's your ego misusing your intellect. So how do you break out of this loop? You don't fight the ego, you just observe it. And what you need to realize is that you can't observe something without changing it. Think of your breathing right now and it will automatically shift. Same goes for your thoughts. The next time you feel a strong emotion, anger, jealousy, shame, you need to pause for a second and watch what happened. Notice the emotion. See the ego activate and watch your intellects get recruited. Just notice it. No judgment, no resistance. And the moment you see the pattern clearly, it will start to lose its grip. You've shifted from being inside the thought to watching it from the outside. And that's the real escape from the default mode network. The part of your brain constantly narrating your life. When you stop identifying with every thought it produces for you, your mind will finally quiet down. And as for your ego, you need to stop letting it run the show. That's how you learn to live with it and stop letting temporary labels and stories in your mind control your permanent self. Your ego will always try to protect you, but now that you know its game, you can actually utilize your awareness and break the cycle.
Yes, shout out to old boy. He only has 1,500 or 1,000 wait. 1,500 and 200 wait. 1,500 to 1,520 subscribers. Is that 20? Yeah, I think that's it. I think it's 1.52. I think that's 1,520 subscribers. I don't know why my brain couldn't even fathom that. I couldn't even say that in my head. But yeah, y'all go follow boy. It's Calcium. I feel like his channel gonna be big. His channel gonna be big, bro, because he a big thinker. He a big thinker like me, man. So y'all also subscribe to me type shit. But anyway, yeah, remember that time when I said some shit and I was like, oh, I'm cooking, but like it don't really make sense, but it make fucking sense. I cooked. For all of you in the comments, I'd be like, bro, what are you talking about? Bro, I cooked, bro. I cooked. I just said it in a different way, bro. I didn't put it together correctly. If you give me like 10 minutes to write it down, you know what I'm saying? I could really organize my thoughts in a very intellectual way. You know, give me like 5 minutes to write it down. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, I just be rambling shit. But that's okay, because that's how I is, and that's how I talk. How did I get here again? Anyway, if you guys, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and if nobody told you today, I love you. Peace.